This is severe weather coverage for East Alabama and West Georgia on Dr. Don's Weather. This coverage is powered by Southern Union State Community College, Alpha Insurance Agent Jamie Dukas, and East Alabama Bee Company, and brought to you in part by Roger Bell Auto Brokers, Genesis Way Clinic in Roanoke, Jimmy Stevens Construction, Anchor Roofing, Auction 431 South, Town of Wadley, and Bama Diesel Repair.
Good afternoon, East Alabama and West Georgia. Welcome to your Sunday, June 11, 2023. It is 3:23 p.m. on your Sunday afternoon, and we are watching some strong thunderstorms getting their act together across the southern portion of our coverage area in East Alabama, basically from Columbus up into southern Chambers County. And we have a couple of special weather statements that have been issued by the National Weather Service, and we're going to jump over here and show those to you right quick. Nothing severe at the moment. We have no severe thunderstorm warnings, but we do have two particular areas of activity that we want to bring attention to. One right there just to the east of downtown Lafayette, just north of Casita, out there on Highway 50. That thing's getting pretty strong, so I would not at all be surprised to see a special weather statement for that part of Chambers County here at any moment. But as we go into Lee County, we've got that heavy thunderstorm there just to the northwest of downtown Auburn. That is moving off to the northeast. And then we have that heavy cell up there around Blanton, or just to the northeast of Opelika, crossing over into Georgia. That storm not as strong as it was. So I would expect this special weather statement for eastern Lee County to expire here at just about any moment. But we are still watching this storm back over in western Lee County. Now, the biggest threat with these storms right now is large hail. The National Weather Service office in Birmingham is reporting that 2 miles south of Auburn University at Montgomery, broadcast media were reporting hail about 1/4 of an inch in size. That was at 3:08 p.m. This afternoon, and that would be from this storm down here in eastern Montgomery County that's going to run right along I-85 up toward Tuskegee in the next 30 minutes or so. So once again, no severe warnings or watches in effect at the moment. But we do have a couple of heavy thunderstorms here in east central Alabama. That one just to the northwest of downtown Auburn. And then that heavy thunderstorm up in Chambers County that we're going to be keeping an eye on very closely for you as well as we go throughout the rest of the afternoon. Let's take a look at the camera in Auburn, and you can see that it's pretty wet down there this afternoon, but I don't really see any wind. And it looks like, for the most part, we're just looking at light rain there at Toomer's Corner at this hour. But again, those storms are just a little bit to the northwest of downtown Auburn, so I didn't really expect to see a whole lot there.
This is severe weather coverage for East.
Excuse me, Clint. Wait your turn. Didn't really expect to see a lot of convection there in downtown Auburn at the moment. But again, this storm up in Chambers County, we're watching that one really close, so we're beginning to see a hail core develop there. 90% chance that there is hail with this storm. The possibility of it being severe, only about 20%. We're looking probably at about 1/4 inch sized hail in this particular storm as well. That's going to be out there on Highway 50, about halfway between Lafayette and Little Shawmut, out there on Highway 50. Looking at the rest of the area this afternoon, really not much happening up here in Randolph County. Well, actually nothing at all happening in Randolph or Clay or Talladega or Cleburne. Carroll County, you look good. Heard County looks good. Looking at Troup County, that heavy storm down here in extreme northeastern Lee County is moving over into Harris. That possibly could end up in southern Troup County in the next 30 minutes or so. And then those heavy storms down there around Montgomery, right along I-85, continue to move off to the east and northeast. So this is what we were talking about this morning, possibly round one of severe weather this afternoon. You'll notice that the storms, while overall they're moving east, there is a little bit of a component building to the north. We are seeing a couple of outflow boundaries from these storms too. That little bitty thin line of green just south of Alexander City, that's what's called an outflow boundary. So we could start to see storms blow up along that outflow boundary. It's where these storms down here in Montgomery are collapsing and allowing the flow to move to the north, and then we'll start to get turbulent air in the atmosphere, and then we'll start to see more storms form. We're already seeing that in southern Tallapoosa, and over into Chambers and Lee. And it could happen on up into Clay and Randolph and back over into West Georgia before the afternoon is over as well. So that is this afternoon round. Now, later on this evening, as we get into the overnight and probably more toward midnight into early tomorrow morning, let me take the next rad off and let's put the composite on. And I'm going to zoom out. There's that mess that came through here this morning over in South Carolina and coming up on Charlotte, North Carolina. That'll continue moving on off to the east, northeast. But this is the area that we're really going to be paying attention to as we get into the late afternoon and into the evening hours. Up there around Memphis, Tennessee, really from Nashville all the way to Little Rock is going to be the areas of concern as we get into late afternoon and during the overnight. There's not a whole lot going on up there right now, but we think that will change in time as we get into the overnight hours, and we would anticipate some really strong thunderstorms from this area. This is going to be what's referred to as a mesoscale convective system, which is a complex of thunderstorms which becomes organized on a scale larger than the individual thunderstorms and normally persist for several hours or more. And we expect that to happen with this particular area, and that's going to dip down into northern Mississippi, into Alabama and Georgia as we head toward the midnight hour tonight. And I think that there is a decent chance that some of those thunderstorms will be still in the severe mode as they make it into East Alabama. I think they will start weakening as we head toward midnight. So I think timing is going to be the big factor here. Can we get those storms in before midnight? Do we get any sun this afternoon? That's going to play a big part in all of this as well. We'll turn on the visible and we'll show you where the sun is shining. And the sun is out in several locations across East Alabama. Not so much down here around Auburn, Opelika, up into Chambers. But look at there. Really from about Roanoke North, we've got sunshine. Roanoke West, we have sunshine. North of Montgomery, the sun is shining, and all across West Georgia, we have peaks at the sun going on this afternoon as well. So that's going to allow the atmosphere to really heat up, and that's going to help aid these thunderstorms that come in late this afternoon and into the overnight from the northwest. You'll see that we have two pretty large I believe these are going to be severe thunderstorm watches that are in place. They are. We have one severe thunderstorm watch currently that covers portions of Kentucky and Tennessee. And then we have another severe thunderstorm watch that covers western Tennessee down into northern Mississippi and back over into Arkansas. I would expect those watches to continue moving southeast as we get into the early evening hours. So I think we probably will see at least a severe thunderstorm watch along and north of I-20. It could certainly be south of that area as well. We'll have to wait and see what the Storm Prediction Center does with that later on this evening. But as you can see, the storm's back up here around Memphis to Jonesboro, just now getting underway. And I think we're going to start to see this area really fill in with heavy storms within the next couple of 2 or 3 hours. So that's kind of an update on what we've got going on at the moment. We have this one complex down here, basically from Chambers County down to around Dothan and back to around Andalusia, and really stretching all the way down to Crestview and to Funiac Springs, Florida. This is moving to the east with individual storms moving to the northeast. They are strong, but at the moment they're below severe limits. The greatest threat with these storms will be damaging straight-line winds and large hail. It was mentioned in the early morning forecast discussion that with this second system that we see in here during the overnight, we could see hailstones as large as baseballs. So, yeah, you might want to take the extra precautionary measures for your automobile. If you can get that thing under a shed or carport, good idea to go ahead and do that, especially before you go to bed tonight. And if you don't have any way of protecting your automobile, take an old blanket, comforter, tarpaulin, whatever you can get your hands on, and take it out there and wrap your car up as best you can. That will help lessen the blow from those hailstones in the event that we get some of that stuff later on this afternoon. So recapping once again, basically 2 areas to be concerned about. We have one developing now. There's not a whole lot to it, but some smaller individual heavy storms across Chambers down into Lee County, and then probably going to be moving into West Georgia in the next 30 minutes or so. I-85 from really about Lynette all the way to Montgomery, not a good ride this afternoon. And then we have that secondary threat later on this evening, probably toward midnight, across East Alabama and West Georgia as that mesoscale convective system moves into the area from our northwest. We're going to be watching this for you very closely as we head throughout the remainder of the afternoon and into the evening hours. We invite you to make sure, folks, that you head over to our YouTube channel and make sure that you subscribe to Dr. Don's Weather and hit that little bell so you'll get that notification when we go live for severe weather. Unfortunately, Facebook does not do very well with timely notifications. I mean, it could be hours, it could be days before you see notification from Dr. Don's Weather that we're live. That's why we constantly tell you to go over to YouTube, search for Dr. Don's Weather, and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you click that little bell, though, so that you get the notifications. Doesn't cost you a dime. It's completely free. Even if you're not a typical YouTube user, go over there and create you an account and subscribe to Dr. Don's Weather so that you'll be guaranteed to get those push notifications. We're going to continue to keep you updated throughout the afternoon. Again, nothing to worry about for the time being across East Alabama and West Georgia. Some strong storms down there in Chambers and Lee. That's moving off to the northeast. If conditions change this afternoon, I'll come right back and we'll continue with coverage. And then we'll be watching for possible coverage this evening as that MCS moves out of the northwest down into Alabama and Georgia during the overnight hours. Folks, if you can, we certainly would love for you to help support us here on Dr. Don's Weather. There's a link scrolling there in the chat room if you'd like to support us this afternoon. We greatly appreciate it. If you own a business, we'd love to have you as a partner here on Dr. Don's Weather.
This is severe weather coverage for East Alabama and West Georgia on Dr. Don's Weather. This coverage is powered by Southern Union State Community College, Alpha Insurance Agent Jamie Dukas, and East Alabama Bee Company, and brought to you in part by Roger Bell Auto Brokers, Genesis Way Clinic in Roanoke, Jimmy Stevens Construction, Anchor Roofing, Auction 431 South, Town of Wadley, and Bama Diesel Repair.